So we have, I mean, the people watching and listening, there's a ton of students out there that are like me when I started Taekwondo, and like I wasn't the best athlete, I wasn't the best tournament competitor, but man, I loved martial arts. Like I just, it the ATA was my family. It was the people who got me through middle school, which I mean, everybody needs somebody to get you through middle school. High school, those kind of things. What do you say to that student who's like, being a school owner might be neat, but man, I'm probably never. I'm not the top. I'm not the, you know. We preach from the top a lot, like today not possible, tomorrow possible. You can do this. You can be a black belt, you can be a master, you can be a school owner, you can be an instructor. But I think hearing it from someone like you or somebody like who you didn't, though you were Eternal Grandmaster's son, you didn't teach from the time you were, little. You didn't go right into owning a school right away. There were some steps that were different from everybody else's. How would you encourage that student out there that really like they hear today not possible, tomorrow possible, but they're like, yeah, but maybe not me. That's not me.
Well,
Because there's always that kid.
yeah,
There's always that one that you're like, and that's the one usually that like if they get to it, like they're the ones that are just awesome.
they have that
Because they've
breakthrough.
had that struggle and they know what it's like.
Well, gosh, I mean, there's so many different stories that you can draw upon. I look, as cliche as this may sound, I really do think about the challenges that I'm going through today. And then I look back and think about what did Eternal Grand Master go through?
Mm.
Because remember, we knew him as the man that, created ATA, and by the time we were kind of in our memory, we saw these huge productions and testings and board breaks and demonstrations, and this man was, walking on
It
water
was a
per
success.
se,
It was
right?
all there.
Yeah, but you have to, if you go back, that's why history is so important. If you go back and you look at his history, when he came to America, he did not speak English. It was 1962.
It's
And for
crazy.
those of you, that's a year. It's actually 1962 is a year that existed, and they didn't have anything back then. There was no internet. Cars were
Yeah.
a
I
big
can't Google
commodity.
Translate
There,
while I'm
there's
doing
none
my
of that.
talk with somebody.
It was a completely different world. People didn't even know what Korea was in general. And you have to remember this man came to the United States with $100 in his or $10 in his pocket, and he was lucky to eat a hamburger a day. Yet he overcame obstacles left and right. In addition to all the other challenges of discrimination, of his work visa, which he had to go back to Korea. He miraculously came back to the United States. I mean, this story is true. You can actually learn about it here in the museum through video. And for him to be able to go through that, and he didn't really have an education. He just had willpower.
Hmm.
He had perseverance. He had discipline. And then to be able to accomplish where, this building would not be here without
Well, we
his.
wouldn't be sitting here talking.
That's right. And then we're at over 1,100 schools worldwide
Wow.
based on the philosophy of Sunam Taekwondo. That doesn't happen just because you're the one. It
Yeah.
happens because you keep working hard and you fall back on your discipline, you learn from your failures. And that's what he did.
And making and I think part of he was the guy who did that and lived by example doing that. But because of that, how many other people have stories just like that because of that example?
So
They
many.
keep that ripple keeps going. And we can all do that. It's not a story that can't be repeated.
Right.
It's something we can all do. Living, what did they say? Beyond the belt in our own lives, and doing that next step can be done by anybody.
What's funny is when you say beyond the belt, people ask, and they, oh, you're in Taekwondo? Wow. Oh, you're a master? Whoa.
Can do a backflip.
Yeah. No, my first question they always ask is, can you kill someone? And my response is, there's only one way to find out.
We'll see.
But um, they'll typically say, how many belts do you have? And I'll say, what do you mean, like degrees? And they'll say, yeah. I say it's seventh degree black belt. They go, oh my gosh, and they have no idea what that means. They think you're a ninja.
Yeah.
And really, I said, they said, what is that? How does that feel? What does that, mean? And I said, man, you don't understand. It's not the belt. It's so much more. It's beyond the belt.
It really
It's
is.
beyond the title. It's the experiences that I've had as a person, my challenges, the inner insecurities that I have had and that I've overcome because I could not talk on camera, and I wanted to be an actor. I'm telling you, martial arts helped me gain that through the leadership program. I had anxiety. Okay, was this like the unplugged version of ATA?
Yeah.
Anxiety, insecurity. I grew up as a young boy here in Arkansas in the 70s and 80s where discrimination it was high. It's much better now, but you grow up with a lot of insecurities
Uh-huh.
in that way. And The leadership program, instructor program, becoming a black belt, learning under Grandmaster Tammy Harvey, learning under Grandmaster MK Lee, and being on the floor and teaching, you're kind of forced to get over that real fast.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Yes, sir.
and But those people were there to help guide me through it. They led by example. Today, our legacy program is so much different. It's so much
Oh,
better
yeah.
structured, where it gives you step by step how to accomplish this and what to do. That's where that structure comes into play. That instructor program, the leadership and the legacy program, helps you come out of your shell. And
100%.
and I have personal friends, and I'm sure you do, who on just a one-on-one level, their personality is maybe here, but you see them on the floor and they're like
That's
Superman.
sign me up. You turn this podcast off, you see me off the floor, and I am a different person,
Yeah,
But
that's amazing.
it really is. Beyond the Belt is really what we do, what the product is, what we want to do for people's lives. Because I mean, kicking and punching is great. We had a great workout the other morning. I'm still a little sore from it now, and I love to kick and punch. But what I love to do is teach things while I'm kicking and punching. Like teach
Yes.
people to be better people. Teach,
Yes.
what Eternal Grandmaster was always about teaching whole people, making people complete. And I think anybody in the world today will say that's what we need from individuals.
Yeah.
That's what the world needs right
Human
now.
being success.
Yes.
Human being success. And that's what it's all about. It's not about what rank you are. I mean, there are people in this building who've been fifth degree for probably 30 years, and they are still making other people's lives
Making a big
improved.
impact.
Huge,
Yeah.
huge. And it's not because he's a fifth degree.
Yes, sir.
It's because he continues to grow with the lessons of ATA martial arts and Eternal Grandmaster. It's all about what's beyond. It's beyond the rank. It's
Yes,
beyond the
sir.
belt.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's Founders Month for a lot of us. Celebrating, thinking about Eternal Grandmaster. We're here at ATA headquarters. Um, what, like, you've stepped into these shoes that are kind of big shoes. What kind of weight does that bring for you? And what's it been like this first year, just like getting used to everything?
Well, I would say that the weight that it comes with it is, yes, the shoes are huge. And we've had a couple of CEOs
Mm-hmm.
prior to um, my time being here. And I am very grateful for the ones who've come before me. I've learned from every single one of them. I've worked with them with some capacity.
Yes, sir.
And even my predecessor, I'm thankful for what he's been able to bring to the organization and what I learned under his leadership. So very big shoes. Of course, Eternal Grandmaster was my father and also the first CEO of the ATA. So the weight comes with the idea of I want to make my father proud. And what I realize is that I know that if I do right by by the viewers, by the people of the ATA, I know that I will make him proud.
Yes, sir.
He knew that we're all human and that we're all going to make
Yeah.
mistakes. He made mistakes.
Everybody does.
Yeah, and
Part
so
of it.
I that the weight, knowing that he would want me to learn through my mistakes and fail forward, is something that allows me to work towards the impossibilities, take chances, and to work hard towards growing the organization in the right direction.
So, you've stepped into the job. You went from, getting to teach on the floor, make kids do push-ups if they didn't do anything. I mean, not that that's what we all do anymore. Sometimes.
Sometimes it's good to do
It's
that.
100%
You know
good
what I mean?
sometimes.
Because push-ups are good for you. And just when you think you can't do anymore, you need to do a little bit
A
more.
little bit
It's
more
discipline training, not because you did something wrong, because you want to do something right.
to make you better.
That's right.
Oh, well, and
So that's for all the students out there. If your
do
instructor
push-ups.
makes you do push-ups, it's because it's making you stronger physically and mentally.
Their parents want us to make them do push-ups. I mean,
Absolutely.
we're just helping the parents out.
Absolutely.
So, but now you're here at headquarters. What's the thing that like you really don't want to do? Like, it's just part of the job that you're like, I have to do. Insurance. Budgetary meetings.
Yeah.
I mean, every job has that. But what's that thing here at headquarters that you've come to and like,
Well, when I went from headquarters to as an office job to teaching on the floor, working from 9 to 5, and then switching that from 5 to 9.
yes, sir.
That was a culture shock because I had gone through, and ATA headquarters has a very structured budgetary system and planning. Everything is very structured in a
Okay.
corporate format. When I went to the school, it was more like, yeah, just make sure the classes are great, and of course we need to make sure that our books are good and everything. But the focus is more on the art side of teaching and connecting with the people. That was an interesting struggle at the very beginning. But then I'm an artist. So it I quickly resonated with that. When I came back, it was the culture shock of going back into it. But I do thrive, and I think everyone thrives in a world with structure. That's part of our organization too.
It's part of discipline.
And even with my children, they have to have that structure: when to wake up, when to go to sleep, brush your teeth, reading before you go to sleep, or having that wind down period. Your humans must have that structure to gain that discipline. So for me, yeah, dealing with the insurance stuff, not really my wheelhouse or where I thrive in, but I, I look at it as a learning environment, and how do I grow and learn from this? And there are opportunities in places that you never thought was possible, and how you can use this opportunity to grow the business. So I look at it as maybe not fun, but where are the opportunities?
Well, that's a good way to think about it, a growth mindset, looking at where can I grow in this? So you spent time out in California, Hollywood, doing some artistic things. What have you brought from that like, what kind of things have you learned that have made you go, oh, how can what lessons can I take from that and put into what we're doing here?
Oh gosh. Um, how to fail forward.
Uh,
I, as an actor, your primary when you're first trying to break into the industry, your primary job is auditioning, is meeting people, meeting managers, agents, casting directors, acting coaches, other actors, getting your the people that you're associating with, making sure that they're the right group, but primarily getting rejected
just
all the time.
getting people say, nope,
Nope, nope, you're not the right guy. And, you walk into this casting room and you're like, okay, I have my good hair day. I'm feeling really positive about myself. I feel like, I think I'm looking good today. You walk in and there's 20 other guys that look just like you and probably wore something even better than you that day. You're like, okay, well, I still gotta sell this. And there's humility involved in acting.
I'm sure.
There's rejection. which I believe can either make or break you. You either learn how to overcome those quote unquote failures and to get thick-skinned, because it can really, you walk out, you feel great, and then you never hear from them. You always wonder, what was it? Was it because my hair wasn't right? Was it because I made the wrong choice? Was it because I wore the wrong clothes? And you just have to move on. You have to try to learn from what that experience was, what was positive from it, and then move on. And eventually you will you will win. You
You'll
will
find
you
that
will have success.
that makes me think of like the right way to think about tournaments though too. Like
Absolutely.
it
Yeah.
seems very similar to the tournament experience where um I think a lot of times, a student can go out and be like, "Oh, I didn't place the first time."
Right.
Well, how many people go to Hollywood and the first time they're like, "I got a
Land it.
blockbuster that
Yeah.
they're gonna get me
Just
to."
maybe one or two.
Yeah, it's just not the thing.
Yeah.
And the lessons that they learn, the lessons that you learn from those are lessons that we do, you need for life. I'm sure. How did that help with teaching on the floor or like enrolling students? I'm sure that was like, hey, you want to say no to my classes? I've been said no to by casting directors everywhere. This is easy.
Oh, that played a huge part in it. So I'll tell you this, outside of being an actor and selling my own self as the right look or the right
Hmm.
performer for a part, I never really sold anything. When I went to go open my school, that was one of the aspects that I felt so lacking in. What I learned really quick, one is if you have the system and you're prepared for it and you study, then check mark number one. Two is when you're selling something that you wholeheartedly believe in,
Hmm.
is a great product, you're not selling anything really. It sells itself. It became, in my opinion, so easy that the program directing position, which I did for the very first year, I did all of it, and it was fun, and for me it was a challenge when I got a no. Was okay, not a problem, is to walk away from it without any emotion and to move forward.
Yeah.
Or the other challenge was, okay, I can also try to convince them and talk them through it or overcome the objections. It became a fun, for me, a personal challenge of growth, and I learned a lot from it. That was a great experience.